I posted about the birthday gift my boyfriend gave me on social media. Someone messaged me, saying it was a life-borrowing bracelet and that in 3 days, he'd swap my life for his and I'd die. I didn't believe it. Later, I saw my boyfriend's older brother covered in talismans, and his mom grinned chillingly at me. "Your life's really good, want to give it to my son?" I smiled and nodded. But then her son borrowed my life and ended up dying a gruesome death. Tom's house was really far. After a bumpy 2-hour car ride, we finally reached his village. "Well, hello there, you must be Lily," his mom exclaimed, her face pale but her eyes gleaming with a strange intensity, as if she wanted to cling to me. Such a beautiful girl, clearly destined for a good life. Just then, a good-looking woman walked out. His mom coldly introduced her. "This is the older brother's wife. Just call her sister-in-law." I politely said sister-in-law, but she just rolled her eyes and grumbled, "Took you long enough to get here. Think you're too important?" His mom shot her a glare and said, "Go make dinner already." Then she turned back to me smiling. Her mood changed so fast it made me nervous. The sister-in-law gave me a long look, then lowered her head and went to the kitchen. His mom quickly took my hand and explained, "Your sister-in-law has a bad temper. She lost her child a few years ago, so now she's a bit touchy with everyone." I asked, "Auntie, where's the older brother? Should I go say hello?" His mom's face instantly went cold. She said icily, "He's shy around strangers, so he won't come out. Also, whatever you do, don't go into his room." She pointed to the room in front of me. I felt a chill and got goosebumps all over. A few talismans were stuck to the door. Tom had told me his family was a bit superstitious. These didn't look like protective charms. The color suggested they were drawn with blood. Goosebumps covered me. I figured as long as I didn't go near it, I'd be fine. Aside from the sister-in-law's strange attitude, I didn't feel uncomfortable at their house, and my worries finally eased. They arranged for Tom and me to sleep in the guest room. The dinner that night was a bit heavy, and I was really thirsty, so I got up to find some water. There was no water in the room, so I walked to the living room. The sister-in-law was standing rigidly in the living room. Her face was pale, and her attitude was completely different from during the day. She shushed me. I didn't understand why. She pulled me into the darkness, without turning on the light. Her face looked creepy. "You need to leave fast," she whispered. I was full of questions and wanted to ask why, but then she stiffened, standing frozen in place. Following her gaze, I saw Tom's mom standing right behind me, staring intensely at us. I broke out in a cold sweat and screamed. His mom turned on the light, and the sister-in-law and I stood there. I was startled. Tom's mom smiled. In the dim light, she looked like a dummy. She tilted her head. "Lily, what are you two doing up so late?" The sister-in-law didn't dare to speak and slunk out of the living room. I quickly recovered and explained, "Auntie, you're still up? I just came out to get some water." Her voice was low as she leaned in, her face still wearing that chilling smile. I shivered and immediately replied, "Sister-in-law just apologized for her bad attitude earlier today." She moved away from me, and the smile on her face finally seemed to warm up. She was visibly relieved. "Oh, I see, an apology is certainly in order. Get some water, and go back to bed early. And whatever you do, don't wander around." She stared at me, grinning. Cold sweat dripped down my back, and I nodded frantically. I scurried back to my room and lay in bed, unable to sleep. His mom's demeanor was terrifying. The sister-in-law's expression earlier didn't seem like a joke. But why would she tell me to run? To test my theory, when Tom came back after his shower, I grabbed him. "Where's that bracelet? I want to see it." He stammered, "It's late. Maybe not now. I don't know where I put it." I stared at him. "Really? But you said this bracelet was really important, and you even made me wear it every day." He avoided my gaze. Just as I was getting suspicious, his mom suddenly pushed the door open. She was smiling mechanically. "Oh, are you looking for this? Little Dragon accidentally left it at home last time he was back. You still haven't changed your habit of misplacing things. Luckily, I put it away for you." She handed it to me. I took it, and it looked similar to mine, but the color was darker, and it had a faint medicinal smell and felt chilling to the touch. I got goosebumps all over. But I noticed my boyfriend visibly relaxed when he saw the bracelet. After Tom's mom left, Tom told me to put the bracelet away, and then held me as we slept. I closed my eyes, fear slowly creeping in. Why did his mom know I was looking for the bracelet? Could it be? Could she have been watching us from outside the door the whole time? At breakfast, the sister-in-law was late, and she didn't look well. I saw a scar on her hand. She kept her head down, completely lacking her usual arrogance. Was it because of what happened last night? I glanced at Tom's mom, but she still wore her gentle smile. I had to find out what was going on. The sister-in-law was alone in the kitchen. I used washing dishes as an excuse to get closer to her and asked in a low voice, "What did you mean by what you said yesterday?" She looked at the bracelet on my wrist and suddenly gave a cold laugh. "Don't you feel your life force slowly draining away? The yin-yang bracelet is for borrowing life. They want your life." I looked at the bracelet on my wrist, feeling a strange fear. "Sister-in-law, stop joking around." She let out a short laugh. "Joking? You don't actually think Tom truly loves you, do you? Don't be silly, he just wants your life." I couldn't believe it. But the next second she extended her hand, and I saw a bracelet identical to mine. "If you don't leave, you'll end up like me, trapped here for life." My legs turned to jelly from fear. "Ah, so you found out." Nothing left to hide then. His mom suddenly pushed the door open and walked towards me with a sinister grin. I tried to run, but my legs gave out, and I fainted. I woke up tied in the living room, able to see his brother's room from where I was. Tom was squatting in the corner, lighting incense. Thinking about all the little moments with my boyfriend, my heart turned completely cold. I saw a blood-red line mysteriously appear on my hand. Cold sweat drenched my back. They really intended to borrow my life. In this family, the one who needed to borrow life the most was his brother. Tom turned around and looked a bit unnatural when he saw I was awake. I calmly stared at him. He composed himself, looked up, and stared at me with icy eyes. "This is your fate. Accept it." I struggled desperately but had no strength. He struck me hard across the face. I was shocked. He continued to speak as if to himself. "Since you're about to die, let me tell you a story." The story was about him. His mom had given birth to 7 daughters, all of whom she drowned. The villagers called her a miser until she gave birth to his brother. His mom doted on this child immensely. But unexpectedly, his brother fell critically ill, barely clinging to life. His mom consulted many masters until she found this method, the yin-yang bracelet. Only a yin girl, born in a yin year, yin month, and yin hour, could extend the life of a young person. And I was the perfect yin girl. I was startled. But I had given him a fake birth time. He shoved a rag in my mouth, leaving me no chance to speak. That night, I saw his brother. His mom pushed him out of the room, and the temperature instantly dropped several degrees. His eyes were tightly shut, his face pale, and he was covered in layers and layers of talismans, looking incredibly unsettling. If not for the faint rise and fall of his chest, I would have thought he was dead. "Son, just make it through tonight, and you'll be fine," she said, touching his face and staring at me grimly. "A yin month, yin day, yin hour. No one is more suitable than you." I struggled desperately, trying to explain MMPH. I wanted to say that I really wasn't born at that time, that the birth details I gave Tom were wrong, and I'd only just remembered it these past few days. I never expected it to cause me such harm. But his mom seemed annoyed by my noise and slapped me hard. I was stunned and had no strength left to struggle. She glanced at me, then complained to Tom, "That damned wife of yours, we were so good to her, and she just ran off." "Son, once you wake up, Mom will find you another wife," she muttered. But she didn't do anything about the sister-in-law's escape, which made me vaguely uneasy. About an hour later, Tom let a shabbily dressed woman back in. She seemed a bit unhinged, clearly not a normal person. His mom was very nervous and immediately went to greet her. "Grandma Huang, I did everything you asked." I saw her pale eyes gleam. Maybe all of this was her doing. This woman was a shaman, and Tom called her Grandma Huang. The yin-yang bracelet was from her, and she taught them the life-extending ritual. Tom's mom briefly explained the situation to her, and she looked thoughtful. As she walked in, I smelled a strange, foul odor, like a rotting corpse. When she passed me, her eyes lit up. "Good fate. Good fate. Your son will surely become rich and prosperous by borrowing her life. His mom's eyes lit up, and her gaze towards me became incredibly terrifying. Tom pulled the cloth from my mouth. I struggled, begging them to release me. I wasn't born at that time. I lied. His mom glared at me angrily and slapped me hard. You're at death's door and still trying to lie to me? Tom told me everything. You were born at that time. I turned my head from the blow. Great, now there was no way to explain this. She said coldly, it's your good fortune to extend my son's life. What good is a life like this for a young girl? You just go home and raise a family anyway. If I swap your life, you can be reincarnated sooner. Don't worry, we won't treat you badly. I looked up at Tom, but he lowered his head and avoided my gaze. I was tied up, unable to resist. Grandma Huang approached and cut my wrist. The pain was sharp, and I gasped. She smirked, then pressed a talisman onto my wound. Next, she took my birth information and muttered incantations. Little girl, this is your fate. Accept it. I resisted violently. This birth chart is really not mine. I was about to break down. Why wouldn't they believe me? I struggled desperately, but Tom came over and held me down. He turned gentle again, leaning in beside me. Lily, please don't resist. It'll be over soon. I gave him a disgusted look. Grandma Huang pressed down on my wound, and I cried out in pain. Please, let me go. Tom's mom slapped me hard. Cry, cry, cry. All you do is cry. You won't be able to cry soon. She tried to feed me a muscle relaxant. I fiercely kicked her lower body. Perhaps she hadn't expected me to have so much strength. She became furious. The three of them held me down together, forcing my mouth open. When they saw me swallow it, they breathed a sigh of relief. The moment they untied me, I fought back with all my might. Taking advantage of their relaxed state, I broke free and ran out. They thought the muscle relaxant would incapacitate me, but they didn't expect me to be able to run. I ran like crazy, but they weren't in a hurry. Tom's mom sneered behind me, you're so weak now you won't get far. I refused to give up. I ran desperately, but gradually felt my strength failing. I ran like a madwoman. They didn't chase me. I didn't care if they were following, I just wanted to escape. I remembered the way we came. There was a bus station about 2 kilometers away, and an inn nearby. I just needed to get there. The village was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I couldn't be sure if everyone in the village was in on it. I just had to run. I was weak from the drug, so I ran and stopped. But luckily, they really didn't chase me. I was both scared and confused. Didn't matter. The village was so silent I could only hear my own heartbeat. Almost there. I ran like crazy to the inn, but found a figure standing there. The sister-in-law stood there. It was too dark to see her expression clearly. But for her to be there at this hour, it couldn't be good. But hadn't she run away? I didn't think she was there to save me. But I couldn't go back either. I could only brace myself and move forward. Perhaps she wanted me to take her with me? The sister-in-law walked towards me and chuckled. You actually ran? I thought you were smarter. You didn't see through this trick? My heart sank. I'd been tricked. I instinctively wanted to run the other way, but saw my boyfriend and his mom following behind me. I couldn't go forward or backward. They easily caught me like a chicken. I frantically asked the sister-in-law why. Why? You left, didn't you? You were all lying to me. She suddenly laughed and touched my face. Little sister, how could you be so foolish? Did you ever think why I, a stranger, would save you? Why would I tell you to run? After saying that, she stopped looking at me. My heart sank. Finally, I closed my eyes unwillingly. It turned out she had made a deal with his mom, and tonight was just a show they put on. But the sister-in-law was right. She was a stranger to me. Why would she risk her life to save me? The answer was she had ulterior motives. As for Tom, he had lost all my trust. Perhaps from the moment he approached me, it was only for my life. Tom's mom threw me on the ground and threatened me wildly. I'm treating you well because you're still useful. But if you don't cooperate, I'll make sure you die a gruesome death. I took a step back and quickly stood up. In that case, let's go down together. She sneered but said nothing. I raised the bracelet and smashed it hard on the table. The sound of the bracelet shattering was surprisingly satisfying. You want to save your son? Now that the bracelet is broken, if we die together. The sister-in-law looked at me, her eyes holding emotions I couldn't decipher. His mom was silent for a long time, then suddenly burst out laughing. You really are stupid. Do you actually think breaking the table can stop me? She laughed even louder, seemingly not caring about the bracelet at all. I started to panic. But wasn't the bracelet important? She grabbed me and slapped me several times, then pressed me onto the table. She grinned sinisterly. You girls really are short-sighted, aren't you? My life was already tied to his brother's a long time ago. I'd been wearing this bracelet all along, and my soul had already entered it. The ritual was completed long ago. Now it's just the final step of dripping blood. The three of them came over and held me down tightly, not allowing me to resist. The muscle relaxant had taken effect, and I had no strength at all. I could only watch helplessly as Grandma Huang came and cut my hand. They pushed me in front of his brother, then dripped my blood into his brother's mouth. His brother swallowed it. The scene was incredibly eerie. I saw the talismans on his body faintly glowing. Grandma Huang cut my hand again. I was in so much pain I broke out in a cold sweat. Animals. You're all animals, I said fiercely. But they ignored me. It wasn't enough. They held my hand, aiming my wound at his brother's mouth, making him suck my blood. Eerily, even with his eyes closed, he managed to make a sucking motion. He sucked with all his might. I felt all my strength being drained away. I was in agony. After an unknown duration, he finally let go. My face was deathly pale. The final step of the ritual was complete. They threw me on the ground. It's done. It's done. This girl's life is truly good. Your son is saved. I clutched my wound, completely numb. Tom threw a roll of gauze at me. I looked at him coldly. I didn't need that kind of kindness. I felt my body slowly aging, as if something was continuously sucking away my vitality. Just as I was still wondering, the sister-in-law kindly explained, Tom sucked your blood, which means the contract is established. You'll only live for 2 more days at most. She covered her mouth and laughed. Was it funny? I looked at her, equally aged. That's right, to ensure success, she, like me, had also had her blood sucked. However, she would only be severely weakened, but I painfully raised my hand, watching it rapidly age. My heart was filled with sorrow. Was I going to die? Not long after, Tom opened his eyes. Cough, 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 cough. He made a faint sound. His mom quickly ran over and tore off the talismans on his body. My precious son, you're finally awake. Only then did I see his body beneath the talismans. It was practically a dried corpse. Tom also breathed a sigh of relief when his brother woke up. The sister-in-law was visibly shocked, but before she could celebrate, Tom completely stopped breathing. His hand fell, and his chest stopped rising and falling. How could this happen? Grandma Huang, how could this happen? My son. Look at me, Mom. His mom disbelievingly placed her hand on his philtrum and staggered back a few steps. Everyone present was stunned. Tom was dead. No one had expected this sudden turn of events. Grandma Huang also looked unwell. His mom knelt before Grandma Huang. Grandma, please save my son. How can he stop breathing? Didn't you say he would wake up after this ritual was completed? Saving her eldest son was her obsession. Before, he was at least clinging to life, but now he had completely stopped breathing. She was practically going insane. Grandma Huang rushed over, trying to chant spells to extend his life again. But he still didn't stir. Finally, Grandma Huang shook her head, her face pale. Someone tampered with it. It shouldn't be like this. He successfully swapped lives. He shouldn't have died. But everyone there wanted to save him. So how could it be? They all looked at me. I calmly stood up, showing no signs of weakness. Now it was my turn to smile. What did you do to my son? She screamed, rushing at me to hit me. Just then, Grandma Huang suddenly vomited blood. She looked at me in shock, then fell down, unwilling to give up. The change happened too fast and his mom panicked. Grandma Huang. Grandma Huang. You killed Grandma Huang? You killed Grandma Huang. Her hand trembled uncontrollably as she pointed at me. If Grandma Huang died, her son was completely unsavable. Grandma Huang stared at me, slowly losing her breath. Everyone was startled. I easily untied myself. To their shock, I sat down as if no one else was there. His mom rushed over to kill me, but I stopped her. What's going on? You demon. You killed my son. Give me back my son's life. I easily threw her to the ground and slapped her hard. Your son should have died a long time ago. A stolen life must be returned. Don't tell me you didn't know I put a curse on the bracelet. I already told you this birth chart is fake. You just didn't believe me. I sneered. She went completely insane, crying and laughing, shifting between Grandma Huang and Tom. I watched her go crazy with my arms crossed. Tom looked at me in fear but didn't dare to stop his mom. She grabbed a knife and rushed at me, trying to kill me. Forget it. If you kill me, your son still won't wake up. All of this is your fault, I said, leaning close to her face and chuckling. I kindly pointed to the corpse over there. If you don't go now, you won't see your dear son anymore. She yelled, Demon. What did you do to my son? Tom's body began to age rapidly. In just 1 minute, he had shriveled into a dried corpse. The sister-in-law was scared and backed away repeatedly. Tom also looked disgusted, almost throwing up. His mom ran over, crying and laughing, desperately clutching her son. She hugged the corpse, weeping, My son. My son. Tom stood nearby, his face pale. Despite such a huge change, she hadn't even looked at her other son. But that wasn't an excuse for Tom's complicity. I never expected his mom to be so crazy. Before I knew it, she was crawling on the ground again, picking up the bracelet and fiercely cutting her wrist. We didn't realize what was happening. She quickly ran over and pressed her wrist to Tom's mouth, trying to make him suck her blood. She was truly insane. Son, wake up. Drink mom's blood. Mom has blood, son. The faint smell of blood permeated the air. I pinched my nose. Tom rushed over to stop his mom. Mom, you'll die like this. You're crazy. Bro is already dead. But she violently pushed Tom away, her expression cold. It's all you. You jinx. If it weren't for you, your brother wouldn't have died. Why are you so useless? Why don't you go die? My poor son. Why isn't it you who died? She glared at Tom and slapped him. Tom's face turned a myriad of colors. Hearing those words, he also broke down. Tom's mom hugged his brother, and Tom knelt beside his mom. Mom, since childhood, you've only ever had eyes for older brother, never me, but I'm your child too. Why are you so biased? In your eyes, it's always just older brother. No matter what I do, you never see it. Why, Mom? Why? He screamed hysterically. I almost felt moved. But his mom only said indifferently, he's your brother. This is what you're supposed to do. See, if she doesn't love you, your hysterics are just noise to her. Tom instantly looked like he'd aged 10 years, smiling bitterly, tears wetting his face. The sister-in-law saw how things had developed and thought about running. But Tom's mom didn't give her a chance. I don't know how her movements became so nimble, but the sister-in-law was quickly caught. His mom was already insane. She grabbed the bracelet and savagely plunged it into the sister-in-law's neck. Where do you think you're going? My son is dead, and he's your husband too. Go join my son underground. As an observer, my legs also felt weak. The sister-in-law looked at me with unwilling eyes. His mom continued to mutter, stabbing her neck repeatedly. Blood flowed all over the floor. I told you to run. You belong to my son in life and in death. Everyone has their own fate. Gradually, she also died, her death horrifying. She tried to harm me, so naturally, I felt no sympathy for her. His mom was completely insane. She dragged his brother's corpse, crawling step by step outside. Tom begged her not to go, but every time he tried to follow, she kicked him away. Perhaps throughout his long life, he had been kicked away countless times like this. Tom didn't care that his knees were pierced by the bracelet. Their blood covered the ground. His mom loudly cursed him, wishing him a terrible death. Sometimes I wondered, Tom was her own son, so why did she treat him like a stranger? But when it comes to emotions, no one can give a correct answer. No matter how much Tom did, it couldn't compare to a single thing his brother did. She dragged Tom, and as she crossed the threshold, she stumbled badly. She fell to the ground, hugging Tom, and slowly lost her breath. The sister-in-law was dead, the brother was dead, the mom was dead. Tom finally broke down and cried. He looked at me, crawling on his knees towards me. He heavily kowtowed several times in front of me. Lily, now I only have you. Can you forgive me? Lily, I was forced. You saw everything. Please forgive me? My expression was cold. Do you really think we can go back to how we were? Tom, there are several lives between us now. He didn't listen, still pleading for my forgiveness. I only felt incredibly sad. We couldn't be together anymore. I calmly looked at him. I really did think about being with you properly, he said. Lily, I'm sorry. But my mom forced me. I suddenly laughed. Your mom forced you? But if you really wanted to resist, what could she do? That comment was posted by you, wasn't it? He looked at me in shock. How did you know? I never trust strangers, so before coming here, I casually checked and found the IP address was from our house. He knelt on the ground. Wife, look, I really wanted to save you. His actions sickened me. You could have just told me directly and avoided all of this, but you didn't. Ultimately, you're a selfish person. You kept saying you loved me, but when your mom tried to kill me, you did nothing and said nothing. He stood up without a word, his face pale. I understand. I'm sorry. I looked down, no longer looking at him. But the next second, I heard the sound of a heavy object falling from a building. He jumped. My heart still inevitably ached, but it was his choice. I had no right to interfere. I raised my right hand and looked up, seeing my life bar go from 30% to 100%. I smiled faintly. What he didn't know was that I had already borrowed his brother's life. The talisman's on that door. I knew his intention when he first approached me. I admit, Tom was really good to me. I was once so lovesick I thought we'd be together forever. Until that day, I saw the bracelet he gave me. My lovesick brain quickly cooled down. I guess what would happen next. So why wouldn't I play along? Men are inherently unreliable. I called the police and started a fire. When the police arrived, I fainted. Everyone in the house died, and I was severely injured and hospitalized. Later, the police classified the case as a suicide. The reason was that Tom's mom couldn't handle the shock of her son's death and went insane. She started a fire, wanting to die with us. I was also disfigured by the fire, which was a heavy blow for a girl my age. The police sympathized with me greatly. Later, I spent a lot of money to restore my appearance and started a new life. I erased all my past experiences. After that, I met a new boyfriend and was with him for 2 years. He was the perfect boyfriend. Until he knelt down to propose to me, holding a dark box. He opened the lid, and I saw the matching dragon and phoenix bracelets. Darling, these are a gift from my mom to welcome you. I hope you like them. I smiled faintly, took the bracelets. Oh, I like them very much. The end.